Hello, and welcome to our presentation of Ethics and Group Cohesion for our Small Group Communications course at Colorado Christian University. We are the Jets, Jeremy, Tarish, and Shelley, and our team has spent the last several weeks working together from 3 different states. We have had virtual video meetings on Google Hangouts, we have shared information on Asana, and through text and email. Our goal today is to provide you with an entertaining and memorable look at 5 elements of ethical communication and their effects on small group cohesion. We believe ethics are the glue that binds small groups together. For the next 25 minutes or so, we will look at the 5 standards of ethics in small group communication. Respect will be explored by Jeremy DeGuzman. Tarish Cessna will examine the effect of choice on group cohesion, and I, Shelley Williams, will provide an overview of the final 3 elements, honesty, fairness, and responsibility, and their association with group unity and cohesion. Our presentation will conclude with a summary of findings, supported by biblical worldview and the findings of our combined research. We believe the psalmist's proclamation, "How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity," is a reflection of ethical communication and group cohesion. Ethics is the glue of small group communication because they establish a foundation for quality decision-making and problem-solving. Ethics provide framework for groups to provide boundaries and expectations of behavior. There are 5 elements of ethical communication: respect, choice, honesty, fairness, and responsibility. Practicing these 5 elements in group communications provide consistency, those expectations for group individuals' behavior, and group cohesion. Jeremy, Tarish, and I explore the ways the 5 elements work together to produce group cohesion. Now please enjoy teammate Jeremy Guzman's exploration of the first element of ethical communication, respect. He will look at the types, philosophies, and ways to prevent disruptions in group cohesion through respectful small group communication.
Hello, welcome to my presentation on respect and how it relates to a small group setting, right? So, according to ethics.org, there are 2 types of respect. So the first type of respect is called light respect. And light respect refers to being polite, being courteous to your neighbor, saying things such as excuse me, thank you, and it also involves deferring to somebody of higher rank or seniority. So respecting somebody because of their role or their position, respecting a teacher, respecting an officer of the law. The second type of respect is known as full respect. So this is a much deeper sense of respect. It's also known as respect for persons or respect of persons. And it is a much deeper sense of respect, and it addresses the intrinsic value and dignity that a person has. And it's something that everybody is born with. So every human being has this sense of value simply because they're a human being. Everybody has it. And full respect is recognizing that value that each person has, and it's acknowledging it and treating each person with value. So in a group setting, in a small group setting, in order for it to function well, each person should display respect towards each other. So we're going to talk about the philosophy of respect. And German philosopher Immanuel Kant says that act so that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or that of another, always as an end and never as a means only. So what that means is basically what he's saying is don't use people for your own gain. Don't treat people as though they're a tool that you can use to meet your own gains or to further your own agenda. So we know the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you want done to yourself. There's also the platinum rule, which takes it a step further. And Dale Carnegie, in his book How to Win Friends and Influence People, talks about the platinum rule, which is do unto others what they would do unto themselves. So, for example, if I like loud music, right, and I like loud noises, if I was following the golden rule, I would I would assume other people might like loud music as well. I would blast my music loudly um, uh, at my neighbors, right? They might not like that. If they don't like loud music, they're not going to appreciate it. If I were following the platinum rule, I would recognize that they don't. Maybe my neighbors like to be a little bit quieter, right? Maybe they appreciate quiet music. So if I was following the platinum rule, I wouldn't blast music because I know that they don't like it. So platinum rules treat others the way that they want to be treated. That's really important. Um, and also, of course, in the Bible says that the whole of the law could be summed up in love the Lord your God with all your heart, and the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22:37. So just how important is respect? 99% of students at Josephson Institute of Ethics report that respect is important to them. That's 99% of students. I would say that's all of them. I don't know about that 1% of student that doesn't like to be respected, but I think that they're either lying or they weren't taking the survey seriously, because I think all people like to be respected. I don't think anybody likes to be disrespected. A study done at Harvard Business Review states that 89% of people who feel respected at work have greater enjoyment and satisfaction with their jobs. I find that to be no surprise, because if you feel respected at work and you feel like your employer values you and treats you with respect, and your colleagues respect you, you're gonna value yourself more. You're gonna value your work more. You're gonna enjoy your job. So being respectful, having a respectful attitude in a small group setting will eliminate a lot of problems that we've seen in group settings. For example, we've seen the stage hog before, right? That's the person that likes a lot of attention and likes to monopolize the conversation. So that's disrespectful, obviously. A respectful person would be aware of time consumption, right? And would not talk too much, and would not use up the valuable group time by speaking continuously, but would be aware of their neighbors and their other group members, and would give them chances to talk, and would ask for their input, and would not focus on themselves entirely. That's what a respectful person would do. So the fighter controller is the person that tries to dominate group discussions, is really contentious, likes to fight with other members, likes to interrupt, likes to be directly disrespectful. A respectful person would not do that. A respectful person would not challenge other members by fighting with them or interrupting them, but would be an active listener and would respect each other opinions. A respectful person would be gentle in correcting someone else if someone did need to be corrected. A respectful person wouldn't be harsh in their words and would choose their words wisely. In terms of leadership, a poor leader would take credit for work that they didn't do. A poor leader would not lead by example. A poor leader would blame others for their failures. A good leader would be respectful. A respectful leader would praise others for a job well done, right? A respectful leader would recognize when someone does a good job and give them the appropriate recognition, right? Blaming and evaluating. Rothwell talks about evaluation versus description. Evaluating and blaming a person's character when a problem arises is kind of a disrespectful thing to do, rather than describing the actual problem. So a respectful person, when someone makes an error in a group, a respectful person would avoid evaluating the person's character. A respectful person would avoid saying, "Hey, you're wrong," but would rather describe the problem instead, rather than pointing at the person themselves. So that's respect in the small group setting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremy. Our next presentation from Tarish, Cessna is the element of choice and its effect on group cohesiveness.
Hi, my name is Tarish. I'm here to talk with you about the ethical value of choice and how it affects cohesiveness in groups. So what is the ethical value of choice? And why is it important? Excuse me. Rothwell states that choice is the freedom to choose for oneself without threat of force or intimidation. It is a basic ethical value. Coercion prevents choice. There is no real option presented. Choice goes hand in hand with honesty. If you fear reprisals for telling the truth, then your freedom to choose truthfulness instead of deceit is compromised. Choice gives us freedom. Freedom to choose which groups we are in, freedom to choose our own values and beliefs, freedom to be unique and have our own identities. Choice empowers us. We get to choose the things that make up who we are, our identity. This includes who and how we are within our families, at work, and in society. Choice means we have our own individuality in interpersonal relationships. Boswick and Boswick called this differentiation, the process of maintaining a separate identity while simultaneously remaining connected in relationship, belonging, and unity. Boswick and Boswick then go on to state that differentiation achieves the godly purpose of interdependence and cooperative interaction between people. Overall, choice empowers each of us. Boswick and Boswick state that empowerment never involves control, coercion, or force. Boswick and Boswick then go on to say that empowerment is the active, intentional process of helping another person to become empowered. The person who is empowered has been equipped, strengthened, built up, matured, and has gained skill because of the encouraging support of the other. In families, Boswick and Boswick state that when families empower each other, they use the areas of strength to build up one another. They are placing unity and interdependency at the heart of their relationships. They also state that empowerment is a needed factor for family members to be able to communicate confidently and express themselves freely without fear. In turn, this creates and encourages trust and commitment. First John 4:18 states, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love." It is through empowerment that we are given freedom, and through freedom we are able to live without fear. In my professional life, we encourage empowerment through autonomy. Each of us gets to use autonomy. Tracy Malett of theentrepreneur.com writes, "Autonomy is the power to shape your work environment in ways that allow you to perform at our best." For my clients, it is giving them the power to shape their lives in ways that brings them to wholeness and the best level of functioning they desire to have. Spiritually, God empowers us with choice through our free will. We have the choice to choose to accept salvation or not to. We can choose to be heirs, children of our King of Kings. He does not force it or coerce it. It is our free will to choose the direction of our lives. Steve Chandler, a motivational speaker and published author, states in a podcast about expectations agreements that human beings will love to keep an agreement that they co-authored with someone. Why is this? Because they had a choice in the matter. They could set boundaries on what could and could not be accomplished beforehand, empowering them to be content with the agreement and therefore more than happy to fulfill it. Rothwell states that there are 5 things needed to build cohesiveness. The first is to encourage compatible membership, which is when group members like and enjoy other group members. Choice encourages this because one gets to be who they are. They can express their feelings freely and be who they truly are without fear. The second thing, develop shared goals. This goes back to coming into agreement with each other. If everyone is striving to accomplish something they all value, cohesiveness is encouraged. The third is to accomplish tasks together. Choice empowers each of us to live autonomously and therefore reach our full potential. And if we're all striving towards the same goals, then we're all going to have the same motivation to get things done, which also encourages cohesiveness. The fourth is to develop positive history of cooperation, and the fifth is to promote acceptance of group members. These both lead us back to the differentiation. If each of us are allowed to freely be our own individuals, then each one of us knows that we are valued and accepted for who we are, and this encourages interconnectedness and therefore cooperation within our families, at work, and the community. In conclusion, trust, commitment, cooperativeness, autonomy, empowerment, these are all related to the ethical value of choice and needed for cohesiveness within our families, at work, and out in society. And that's the end of my part, and I'll leave it for the rest of my team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tarish. Now I will examine fairness, honesty, and responsibility as elements of ethical communication that support group unity. Life isn't fair. We have all heard someone say that when they feel they've been wronged. According to Myers and Anderson, fairness is the element of ethical communication attained when everyone has an opportunity to speak, everyone listens, and is heard without judgment. Fairness in ethical communication means that all parties operate from the same rule book. Unfairness produces bigotry, where different rules are applied to individuals or groups based on intolerance of differences in others. Judgment of others based on bias and prejudice also creates unfairness in individual and group settings, according to Myers and Anderson. The prophet Isaiah warned the Israelites in Isaiah 5:20, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." And in James 2:12 and 13, we are to speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom, because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. So, fairness is about having a level playing field, not calling evil good and good evil. It's about seeing and allowing people to be who they are, to listen without judgment. Honesty. According to Josephson, there is no more fundamental ethical value than honesty. Communicating fact-based messages accurately and truthfully is at the center of ethical communications, according to Mayhew. Providing access to the resources used to create the message and then accommodating the delivery of the message through proper mediums, the use of interpreters and other considerations of basic human needs is also key in providing honest, ethical communication. News outlets offer a great example of using honesty to create trust with their viewers. Responsible news outlets use fact checkers to verify information and that it is truthful prior to broadcasting on air, because they influence individuals who watch their programming in the decisions that they make. So in teaching and projecting ethical communications, we must learn that this is about teaching ethics in our professional and personal lives. It is about responsibility, because we are responsible for how we speak to friends and colleagues. As the Apostle Paul taught the church in Corinth, For we are taking pains to do what is right, not only in the eyes of the Lord, but also in the eyes of man. When we do what is right by being honest, this builds trust and supports group cohesiveness and glorifies God. And finally, well, responsibility. According to Myers and Anderson, responsible ethical communication is the process of making decisions or judgments without the pressure of conforming to the pressure from the group or from group norms. Responsibility allows group members to share accountability in decision making and accepting the consequences of those decisions. Self-disclosure in a spirit of honesty and openness also happens appropriately through responsible ethical communications, because members are afforded the opportunity to develop their potential as individuals and as members of the group. Members also avoid attacking the competencies of other members when they are responsible communicators, when they're ethically, it's not ethical to attack a person's character instead of the actions that they've taken. So this enables us and members of groups to engage in sound reasoning behaviors that reflect personal and group values. In conclusion, ethical communication is the glue that binds groups together. According to Mayhew, ethical communication is a basic piece of thoughtful decision-making and responsible thinking. It is about developing and nurturing relationships and building communities within and across contexts, cultures, channels, and media. The 5 elements of ethical communication are respect, choice, fairness, honesty, and responsibility. Respect addresses the intrinsic value and dignity a person has and that everyone is born with. In order for a group to function well, all members should display respect toward one another. Choice in ethical group communication gives individuals freedom to choose the groups they belong to, freedom to be uniquely themselves, and the ability to work together toward shared goals. The element of fairness in ethical group communication allows everyone the opportunity to speak, to be heard, and is free from judgment. Honesty is a fundamental value that is the basis of trust in ethical communications. Responsibility involves being accountable for the messages imparted to others and the consequences of our communications. Regardless of who you are communicating with, ethical communications are respectful. They allow choices. They are fair, honest, and responsible for the consequences of those messages. Misleading listeners and delivering an untruthful message is contrary to ethical communication. Ethical communication is the glue that binds small groups together as we choose to respect one another while dealing with others honestly and fairly by choosing to be responsible for the outcomes of the messages we create. We thank you for watching. We hope that what you have seen will help your small group's cohesiveness as you begin to practice the 5 elements of ethical communication: respect, choice, honesty, fairness, and responsibility, the glue that binds and proves how good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. Psalm 133:1. Have a blessed day. Thank you.